Okay, you're with Michael Crosby. Yes, I'm running for governor. Now, the weird thing is, I'm the billionaire unbillionaire. That's true. So I'm yet again another billionaire running for office here in California. Now, it's kind of a funny situation, and some people would be confused about it because I'm an archiver. Archiver is a different creature. That means basically that there's a lot of things that over the years got donated in and the way business runs. Well, if you ran a business or you ran a nonprofit, you would understand how you could end up becoming asset rich, so to speak. And how basically, I mean, I've even had times where I had somebody try to assert fraud once. I ended up in federal court. And I ended up with the judge getting very pissed off at people saying, hey, hands off, hands off, you know. So, and I've been through this with the IRS and a lot of different people. And it's a weird thing that how is it that I can control billions of dollars in assets and basically not have much in the way of money in the bank? It seems kind of confusing, but when I explain to people, here, look at this evidence. By the way, there's like more than 80 cases where I have caught our government red-handed, literally committing treason, serious acts, serious felonies, because you can't attack an archive. That's unconstitutional. That'll get you in big, big trouble. But our justice system is not necessarily working properly right now. And so welcome to reality on that. Well, I recently looked at what Carl is saying on his new bill he's sponsoring to deal with utility companies. And my response to him was yes, yes, yes. Oh, did I mention yes? Now, recently I just did a piece. It's amazing. I haven't actually seen what KPFK has been doing in like 14 years. So I figured I'd just, kind of cruise over there and take a few minutes, And I was actually completely amazed. Very biased. I mean, they used to have some full round material. I couldn't find anything that wasn't firmly sat in left-sided concrete. It's in fact, some of it was quite downright ridiculous and offensive. That they would be basically supporting, illegal activity. It was. I thought it was very disturbing. And these people, because they used to have a lot of interesting stuff. You'd hear some guys on medical stuff and a little different stuff, and now. Now they're at the point where, if I'm the governor, I'd be thinking about going in and arresting people, and saying, hey, look, you guys are going to get fined for some of the stuff that you're promoting right now, So I decided I'd make a little piece to go ahead and make a piece anyhow. And I couldn't figure out how to get it up on their post now. They seem to be editing everything. Very much in control, which is they're not into free speech very much. I mean, it's, for a radio free speech, it's kind of weird, So, but I went ahead and made it so, it's on colonial constitutional capitalism. So if you want to look at some unbiased information at the cutting edge of, our constitutionality concerning colonial constitutional capitalism, I recommend that you go ahead and listen to that show, even though you see the label of KPFK. That's why that ended up that way. Okay, I want to talk about some more about the colonial constitutional. Again, I just told you a link to look at some of that material. But, basically, I'm trying to work out at the moment my new upgrades. I've upgraded material, and I was using a previous account dealing with basically an OpenAI item where I was working with my economic outline areas. Now, what we're talking about here with the colonial constitutional capitalism restoration, because see, the original deal, once again, basically is we were supposed to have unlimited access to the United States Treasury. See, that's the deal. See, the British were appraising our stuff and using that accounting to justify the printing of notes in England. So they were very pissed off when we said, no, we're going to do our own thing, and we're going to make our own treasury. And, you guys are out, So they didn't like that at all, And, of course, we were grabbing a hold of enormous assets. I mean, just, look at Google Map and go, wow, the size of this, So this is the big deal, I mean, it's a big real estate deal. I mean, at a galactic level, at an intergalactic level, the huge, great land purchases of the United States are still, a top of the item acquisition item. I mean, if you were watching the intergalactic news and they come and says, well, a clip from Earth, yes, the largest real estate deal in the history of Earth just occurred as a huge commitment to purchase. Wow, look at all that land, big real estate deal. So yeah, that'd be, pretty much truthful. So when I'm trying to equate to people to understand what I'm going to do. Now, this is where we separate people, the men from the boys. Okay. Right now, we're separating the men from the boys. Okay. Because another billionaire has arrived on the situation here. So, and I do things a little bit differently, but I am a colonial constitutional capitalist. And I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. So I'm going to help repair your life, okay? Number one, let's take care of the front end. That's your wallet. Let's do this, okay? Let's do this. So, basically, I'm trying to rework a new account to work with material, basically because somebody stole my laptop. That was, by the way, also my official laptop for communicating with Congress. Yes, with the Secretary of State Congress. So that's a serious felony. And once again, California does not want to get involved in assisting me in recovering a device that is, well, very sensitive to national security, very, very classified. So that my personal laptop dealing with particular communications directly to the United States Senate. So I have to set up a different laptop. I had to go out and I bought 2 more laptops, and I have to deal with this situation, So I had to go out and buy 2 more laptops. They have to have NVIDIA cards in them, so they get swappable cards. I can upgrade them. And so anyhow, so I'm working up doing a new account here on OpenAI, and I got to lay out the, what I'm going to do for citizens, the per asset restoration comparison, you see, because you got all these different levels, and I want you to pay attention to the zones here, because we've got the 10 billion zone, okay? We've got, and it's having a little bit of problem. We've got the 100 billion zone restoration, okay? We got the 100K zone. We've got the $10 million zone. See, GPT is kind of screwing up on the graph a little bit there. We got the 10K zone. Okay, we got the 100K zone. Okay, now, but the thing is the 10K is per month. It didn't quite get the labeling in here right, so, and it's not quite getting the tax credit right. So I have to rework it, So, basically the way some of this is going to work with the Stewards Project here is basically we're going to make blockchain coins, okay? And we're going to make decisions as stewards. And we're different. I'll explain why the voting's different as we go along. By the way, this is crucially important to your financial future. It's crucially important to your children's future. I'm going to tell you right now, this is probably, if you're a voter in California, this just might be the most important program or lecture that you will listen to in your life. This literally can, later on in life, can be your life before this moment and your life after this moment. So I'm not kidding about that, So, so if you can keep listening to me, Michael Crosby, and I just happen to be by assets, I'm an archiver, I'm a billionaire as well. Okay, so, and we're separating the men from the boys type decisions here. And I'm just telling you how I'm trying to work with the graph here because I got to set up brand new stuff. I just got another notice that that ChatGPT really likes the material I'm playing with. I told them again about something that was wrong with their model. And so they doubled They go out of the way. They just doubled my memory that I can get access to, and then so at the same charge, so different. By the way, I don't know if some of you know this, on what the limits are. There are different zones of how much floating memory you can use. I'm somebody, I like to use 2 terabytes generally. Now I don't need that much all the time, but I have the capability. I will pay extra if I have to go up and use, say, 10 terabytes of floating memory. So for those of you who might end up using that kind of understanding with some physics sometimes, I thought I'd put that out there, because some people, they don't even know. They don't understand how much memory they're using. They just let everything be automatic and see what they get that way. So when you calibrate in a model really tight, you're going to end up, like you're working with language model physics and a lot of different physics stuff, you can end up using enormous amounts of memory. Anyhow, so, I'm calibrating this thing in, and in the process of doing this, they reviewed my work. I found an error, what I consider an error in the way their model works. And of course, they sent me back a deal, and they just doubled my usable memory for the account that I have at the same price, which was, that's okay. That's kind of nice. Okay, anyhow, back to this graph here. Now, see, when we go back down here, how much money are other candidates? Let's open your wallet. We're going to look at the candidates, and we're going to compare each candidate that's out there and see what they're going to do for your life, for your life financially. Okay, so when you go down here to the bottom, we get down here to the bottom, and we're going way, way down. At the bottom here, we got 50K. That's the total value of what some candidates are proposing. They're going to increase your income 50K. And there's some people it's less, some people it's more. Now, that depends. Now, ask yourself honestly, the candidates that you're looking at, what's going to happen to your wallet? Okay, your financial portfolio. See, I want to talk about your entire financial portfolio, because it's important. Because, I'm not a clown running around throwing out bags of peanuts, okay? We're going to save you $10 here and $30 there. No. I'm the guy that's going to get you your life back, get you your land back, get you your steward rights back. Say, because otherwise there's going to be hell to pay. I'm going to fix this because I know how to fix this. I'm going to bring in the most powerful economic modeling software system that's ever been seen on the history of the planet into California, because I know how to do that. I'm an archiver. I know how to do that. See, I know how to work with different people in certain ways and say, look, here's what we're going to do, guys. So I'm going to call up the big 9, okay, and say, hey, we got a meeting. Can I get you guys to come down and meet with me, the governor? We're going to hook this up because I want a deal. I want you guys to collectively work out a share system where the big 9, where you people are going to help with a new collective system to repair California, okay? And basically, I'm going to want an account for every citizen in California, minimum account. So that's probably going to end up costing about $20 per voter. Now, this is an account for registered voters. So this is something we need. Why? Because you have every right to access the most valuable tools that are currently available. And you need it, by the way. If you're going to keep up with what I'm going to be doing as governor, you're going to need it. You're going to need an AI to be able to help you sort out what I'm talking about and to help you stay up to speed and keep getting educated. Okay. So, and again, this is with the kids, there's going to be a different type of AI setup. As governor, I'm going to set up the most powerful set of AI tooling that will be adjustable depending upon the assessment of your child, of your kid. Okay. So if you have children, okay, and you happen to be people that have a security clearance, you're in the military, whatever, your children will have a different type of access than people, let's say, that might be visiting this country that are not citizens. Okay, they will not have the same access. Why? Because some people have brilliant children and they work with brilliant material, and they're also trusted. See, they're trusted. They're within the family of national security clearances, and there's a difference. So I'm not going to force children back. I'm not going to dilute education for people who have children that deserve the top end, the best. It's going to happen. So this is something important. Now, getting back to this graph here, what we got here is what is your life going to mean compared to these other candidates? So because what I'm doing right here is basically you're going to be starting off with $10 million worth of stock. Okay. And I explain how this works, that basically we buy back the stock. It's perma stock. Okay. You can't necessarily, it's very restrictive as to you selling it. It's also not taxable. It's not taxable. Okay. Because we're the owners. We're the stewards. We created this country. We're the owners. So we got group one, $80 million worth of stock. Group two, $10 million worth of stock. Okay. And there's going to be a group three. And I'm still working out the numbers on this because they've changed. What my old numbers are that I did before, some of that archive is missing. It's basically been stolen. It's missing. It's classified. And of course, California took a part of aiding and abetting of how that happened. They've involved themselves in treason. And, there's nothing like fMRI lie detectors. Everybody signs off, government employees. They always have to sign off. If you want to be the final candidate to getting a job, whether you want a job to be a police officer or anywhere in government, you have to go through these stages. You go through these stages, and they always have paperwork for you to sign at each of these stages. And to get to be the finalist, you have to pre-agree in advance to sign off on lie detectors on demand, which is very important. So anyhow, I was working with ChatGPT, and I'm trying to fine-tune it, and I want to get a piece of material out, and it's not completely fine-tuned yet. So I'm trying to set up the way the graphs are going to come out and look certain ways and work with certain information. So basically, people are going to end up rapidly having a $10,000 a month income. This is what I'm estimating for sure. This is the target for sure after the first year. It should be much more. So, we're talking about $120,000 a year income if you're in group one. Okay, group one. Group two, we're still working with the numbers. That also depends a lot on the decisions that people are going to make. You see, but with group one, I've already done some preliminaries. I've talked to lots of people over the years on where this is going to be. And it's very important because we're building our own supply chains. We're building our own huge, massive investment arm. So it's going to be really, really big. And it's your right to, basically have your land stock. Why? It's very simple. I'll explain it real quick. The government had no money, okay? So they came to the American people at the time, way back when, and says, hey, we got no money. We need you people to be the investors on this. So we were promised stock. We were promised residuals. Okay, that's on the minerals, and we never got those. Some of us did. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. And dividends off the deals. In other words, if you give money over, if it's decided you want to sponsor a deal and you're going to hook up some land with the railroad or a foreign car company, there's going to be a percentage share deal where somehow, some way, there's a little trickle of money somehow that's going to come to us. And that's part of the deal, say. And that's going to end up being part of the yearly dividend plans of how those percentages work. Because we own the land. See, the government had no money. The government had no money to buy the land. They came to us, the people. They asked us. They says, look, the only way we can do this way back when was we have one mechanism that touches everybody equally, and that's the ability to do a temporary tax. Please vote yes. Please do this. and you'll all get stock. We understand it's going to be a little bit of a sacrifice, but we're going to buy all this land. Look at this enormous investment. Look at all this land, the great land purchases that we're buying. Now, later on, we got a lot of different things that work different. You have Alaska that made some decisions. There's a lot of people that stepped up and made permafund or common contract companies and different things that are been occurring, but it hasn't happened right. See, and a lot of people saying, well, we've been lied to. Well, we'll talk about that along the way. See, so I'm setting this out to where it's going to be done proper. The people who put the money in are what? The people who paid for it. I mean, under modern law, if you got, let's say you got a big, huge invitation, you went down to the Hilton Hotel, and you're there, and people gave you this pitch and says, look, we got no money. Tell you what, we want you all to open your wallets, okay, and be the investors. And y'all get stock, and you get residuals off of the minerals, and you're going to get dividends off the deals, and land staking rights and whatnot here. You know, so you're going to be in on all these project items. Your investors, you know. And now imagine for 1 minute that all of a sudden you had a bunch of people say, oh, well, we've changed our mind. It's been decided that all of y'all get zero. So you get zero because it's been decided. Now, under modern law, if you did that, you're going to be immediately arrested, and you're going to go to prison. You know, and this happens real quickly. You can have people sit there arguing, well, what evidence do you have of this? And the prosecutor's going to stand up and say, Your Honor, excuse me. It's generally implied, obviously, as a no-brainer level, what happened here, Your Honor. Here, look at these assets. They took these people's money. They had no money. The money came from these people. They're the investors. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. So, so once again, there's ample law reinforcing all of this, even in modern law. But see, the deal is what it was 150 years ago. Basically, that's how I do the cutoff. 150 years ago, if your bloodline has citizenship 150 years or older, then you're vested. You're one of the 175 million people in this country that's in Group 1. And in California, I'm not sure what the current statistic is. I haven't redone it lately. I'd keep doing this about once every 10 years to stay on top of it as I was working with the designs on this and the different legal arguments and various things that are important. And ideas to make the fund work properly. See, the idea is it's a perma fund. You know, this is not something you can't sell your stock and run off like a drunk sailor. Okay, and basically, squander it. That's not allowed. This is your future. This is not a generalized income item. Okay, this is not universal income. So my position is, why would we need universal income when we have these brilliant, real facts about our life? Okay, we opened the wallet, we invested. We're the ones that had the money. Government didn't have the money. We had the money. We bought this land. Okay, so then later on it goes on for Group 2. Group 2 is measured by the cutoff date for Group 2 is World War II, end of World War II, because all that land that came after the Great Land Purchase, after the temporary tax, then we end up with the next group of people who became citizens. That basically, so Group 2 splits the new assets with Group 2. I mean, Group 2 with Group 1. Okay, so Group 1 is getting part of it because it's also our deal. The government is parlaying the investment respective to our business. Okay, to an extension item on our business, dealing with the national aspects. We are the owners. Okay. We have a republic. Once again, let me remind people, we have a republic. That means that we, the voters, are the owners. But if you're Johnny come lately, you have to understand we don't have a caste system. However, there's a difference between people who are founders and stewards. Okay. And I'm actually a founder, actually. My bloodline goes back. I'm a founder, an actual founder, my family actually has original militia. Okay, we were original militia which, by the way, never gets shut down. People they don't understand that. We decided to add more, but not shut down what we already had. And people they're so confused over this, and it's really hard to deal with. So I'll explain more about those laws, as we go on, your Second Amendment rights. But I want to talk about your wallet again. So the way this is going to work is basically what happens is people die. Okay, and they have no people to give their stock to. And there's a rule. The way this works is it's not taxable. Now, there's one exception to how this works, and that's blockchain. And that is if we're doing a deal, and it's some territory where we agree with the government that there should be a consideration, then they're going to have to accept the coin print. They're going to have to accept the money currency deal that we're going to be working with, which is going to be like a crypto. So that means that the deal automatically at the end of the year, or however we decide the math to work, works on a blockchain. It's like firmware. Okay, you can't change it. Once you boom, you do it and you put that coin out, you can't change it. Doesn't work that way. You can't, we've decided to change the tax. No, it doesn't work that way. The deal is the deal, and that's it. Once we burn it, it burns into the circuit. It goes into, once we make the contract, that's it. We can't change the contract. It's a firmware contract. These are firmware contracts when you mint a coin. So you can have certain capabilities built into it, or basically a percentage, a certain percentage can automatically be determined mathematically, and it is printed, it is made, and it is sent over to the government. Provide for national defense. That's how that works. So all of this works on a system, the original system, so it won't crash and get destroyed. And the way that it works this way is it's not taxable. It's the original design, the original colonial constitutional agreement, and it's designed to work a certain way. And it has to be non-taxable. It just won't work any other way. And this is what the agreement is, you see, because if people start to tax it, you destroy it. You destroy it, and you're wiping everything out. So it's not taxable per se, the way these people want to come in and be communist and socialist and tax things and violate the agreement to be loyal to the agreement. The agreement is the agreement. That's the colonial constitutional capitalism endorsement, the compressed document. We're on Constitution number 5. And there are those of us who had pre-existing contracts prior to the making of the country. In other words, we were there. See, I had family members, we were present. We were there, we were present. So when the other people are going to try to tell us what happened, see, I get to stand up and say, bullshit. Okay, my family line was there. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. You people are liars. Bullshit. How dare you come in and try to destroy our archives and our legal material? You're under arrest. Okay, I'm not going to play games with you people. You've attacked an archive. Okay, and that's an item that you can get the death penalty for, and that's our policy. See, our policy is that when people do this stuff, that we enforce the law. These are the highest levels. These have to be protected. This is not some little area where somebody has made some kind of normalized mistake that, many people as human beings, which of course, do we have any, are there perfect human beings out there? Come on. Who's perfect out there? Come on. Okay, so the little stuff, look, I'm not worried about the candy bar level stuff, okay? Learning experiences in life, okay. I hope you learned your lesson. Now, we're talking about the big items here. And the big items are protecting your wallet. And what I'm going to do for you is restore. The idea is I'm going to bring restoration and compensation immediately. See, so another thing that happens with the Stewart creation is we're making our own law firm. Group 1 gets its own law firm. See, there is no other candidate that can even come close to what I'm doing. See, we're separating the men from the boys. That's what we're doing right now. We're separating the men from the boys. So, I'm separating this up. I'm going to be setting something up where your children, if you go to school in California and you do K through 12, that's 13 years of schooling. You're going to be bankable to be making $200,000 a year because your labor qualifies you to do construction, Christ the carpenter philosophies, base construction. And I'm not going to listen to anybody coming out with these horrible lies. Why don't you like their lies? Work 42 years and then maybe you can retire. In the year 1750, when me and members of my family were working with our militia to be able to make this country, okay, fighting with our lives to make this country, to design this country, longevity was 38 years of age. Longevity, lifetime, the average lifetime, 38 years of age. And you have people now telling you that they want you to labor for 42 years before you can get a retirement. I have something to say. No, we're stopping this. There's no responsibility here. This is ridiculous. There's nothing close to responsible activity of what these people are doing. It's ridiculous. It's uncalled for. And I'm going to put an end to all of that. So you have to understand, as we separate the men from the boys here, what's going to happen with your wallet. If you're in group 1, it's going to be really good. Really good. If you're in group 2, now we add group 1 and group 2 together, that means that's someplace between 47 to 51% of the citizens, the voter citizens of California. Okay? And so I'm not going to allow people to dilute your vote. People just can't come into the country and say, oh, yeah, it's been decided. We're taking all your land away. Oh, we're taking your $80 million worth of stock away. We're just going to rip you off and burn you. No. No more criminal stuff. I'll explain later about how the Royal German Empire Spy Institute actually created communism and socialism. That's where it was really birthed. That's where they took all philosophies and grabbed them all together and mixed them together like a milkshake and spread it out all over the tactical table and says, oh, this is a mess. And then they reworked the information. They brought in 30 of the most evil psychiatrists you could ever see. Totally dark-hearted, evil, military-style psychiatrists that would make Lecter Hannibal look like a Cub Scout, basically. So this is one of the things where, I go through this material and I have to keep going into it because people always ask me questions every time. And I've made a lot of lectures on this, and people just are not on top abreasted, Again, I'm a billionaire. Okay. I'm tired of these other people's fraud. Okay. They have the state of California owes me over $3.8 billion from the damage that they've done to the archive just since the COVID situation. And by the way, this is not the first rodeo. These people constantly get caught red-handed destroying archive material, legal research. Okay, these people are going to go to prison. I'm going to see to it. They're all going to go to prison, see. And there's not going to be any doubt. They've already pre-signed off on lie detector pre-agreements on demand. So they're going to be, put into fMRIs. We're going to bring doctors in. Yeah, doctors. We're going to use fMRIs, and they're going to administer basically truth pharmaceuticals. They're going to calibrate you in. People are going to sit there and do 500 words, and they're going to take you up to 5,000 words into calibration, and then we're going to go through your head. And we're going to see whether you're lying about what you're doing. See, you do these kind of things. When you manage nuclear weapons and national security secrets and, the running of government and whatnot, you have to do these things. Everybody's done these things where you have to do these tests at certain levels. It's part of national security clearance at the high levels. So anyhow, but when it comes to law, there's no such thing as somebody saying, oh, well, we have all these civil rights. You've been you've been busted red-handed committing treason and involving yourself in election rigging. I'm not going to play with you. Okay, we're going to put your head in the donut. It's called an fMRI. And we're going to bring the doctors in, okay? And we're going to evaluate your head, and we're going to find out who you are and why you did this. You're going to prison. You can't attack the financial core of a campaign of a camp, candidate's camp. This goes back into the original wording, which states clearly that those are acts of war. Now we have these other people saying, well, we've decided to change things. Oh, we're annotating this. Let me explain this to you. Those of us who are original forefathers, our family lines, we're not interested when we catch you people not only lying, but we catch you sabotaging and destroying archives. We punish people that do that. We don't allow that. That's out of bounds. Okay, we're trying to fix things. We're trying to bring about changes and take care of business. You know, so when you have people like me and people walk up and go, oh, you're a steward. Well, thank you. You know, so, the mindset of true stewardship is important. It's something that we have to protect in this country. And so, again, I hope I've explained the beginning of this here. I got some calls I need to catch up on, but I hope I explained part about this. I'll explain more about it. I've got 22 shows on doing stewardship items. And it's important here, because stopping these people from running around like clowns throwing out bags of peanuts, we have to end this. We have to end this. And what we need right now in Sacramento is me as governor, a guy that has ran an incredibly rare and diverse archive that has been dealing with these people who have committed treason. I busted these people, 7 of them at the highest levels, participating in treason. These people need to be immediately removed from office. They're disqualified from voting or running for office ever again. And they're in mass dereliction of duty, and there's no excuse for what they've done. So there's a whole lot more to this when we have the other overlapping evidence. People want to know, what am I going to do with technology? I'm going to do the right thing with technology. I mentioned that already. People, well, this AI stuff's a little woke. I says, well, I know how to sort through it, and I'm not going to tell you that there aren't necessarily flaws to it. Many people are making a product to appeal to people at an international level, and there's flaws on that. And I'll explain there's more as we go along in time here, why my product development is a much better product because I address the truth, you see, because true core physics is mandatory. And I'll go into that more. And I cover a little bit of that in the show I decided to make, to be honest, for the people that listen to KPFK. I said, okay, fine, I'll do this. I'll be nice. I'll be nice about this. So we're separating, again, the men from the boys. So I hope you like this. I need more interaction from people. It's very nice because I had an entire fleet of vehicles. Once again, I don't know if people understand this. See, I had an entire fleet of vehicles that I had worked for decades to build up, basically, with certain types of information and whatnot. And then here comes the state. And they're attacking archives. So 34 vehicles were lost recently. By the way, it's not the first rodeo. It's not the first rodeo where I catch these people committing treason. An attack on archives is specific. That's treason. You're facing possible death penalty charges. And now we have a whole lot of people they want to stand with. You see, they want to stand with as we have serious charges, and they want to think, oh, we can annotate the entire Constitution away and create policies and all this. No, you can't. Yeah, that's not the deal. Who do you people think you are? So there's very important items here. Right now, let me explain this. It is crucial if, ask yourself, are you group 1 or group 2? How does this? Because if you're in group 1, you get the whole shebang. If you're in group 2, it's crucial for you to understand if you want to protect and maximize your financial power and your constitutional rights, whether they're Second Amendment, whatever they are. I'm the guy you want right now for governor. I'm the guy you want to stand with. I'm the guy that's going to protect your actual rights, and end these people that are involved in, rebellion, insurrection, invasion, basically. So with that having been said, we're just going to go run with this as it is right now, and I will address questions coming in from time to time. When I can get the time to do it, I'll activate it and turn it back on. You turn it on, you turn it off, back and forth, because I can't always keep up when people do things, and people do things that are rude, and I can't always police this stuff and have people want to come in and start putting links in for X-rated websites and stuff like that. I don't want that material associated with my material, because I'm very serious. This is the difference between the men from the boys. And once again, my name is Michael Crosby. I'm running for governor. I'm the guy. Okay, I got a 240 IQ, and I'm the guy that's going to protect your rights all the way around. Whether you're homeless, 20 to 30% of homeless people fit in either Category 1 or Category 2. Immediately, as governor, I'd step in and say, well, I can clean up 30% of this immediately. First of all, these people's bloodline are vested stewards. They've paid for the land. You can't tell these people that they have no options and they're starving to death and dying on the street when their bloodline paid for all of the land that we own. There's no excuse for this. This is outrageous. This has to end immediately. So we're going to take care of our own on that because they done did it, So some of you other people involving you with strange things, I'm sorry to tell you that I'm not sorry to tell you that you must be loyal to the Constitution of the United States. So basically, if you're not loyal to colonial constitutional capitalism, you're not entitled to vote. Why? Let me explain this to you. You see, myself, as a family line of founders, it's always been an agreement that if you want voter rights, if you want to participate with us, being a player, that you have to swear loyalty to the Constitution. That's where the club is. Welcome to the club. That's where the voting is, see. So as we open the rights up for voting all along, and many of us fought over a lot of things. There's a lot of history there on stuff because some of us were different. See, some of us never agreed to slavery to begin with. We're like, no. Slavery? No. A lot of problems there. There's a whole nother story behind that. See, some of us were a little different. But so we fought. We know about the Civil War. Democrats declared Civil War. That's the truth. They attacked the Union, and they took an oath of repatriation. 10 years in Leavenworth or take an oath of repatriation. And of course, the Democratic Party had to take a repatriation. It's an immortal company with superior knowledge. So when it starts attacking the Constitution, it's on the verge of getting seized again. So the Democratic Party, once again, is on the verge of seizure, and a lot of people don't understand this. Happening in California because they've involved themselves committing treason. And they're in dereliction of duty, and they're standing with the wrong people who've committed horrible crimes. So this is something that people have to understand. This is not a game. This is not a game. So here we have all of these areas. So yeah, I keep getting distracted. I've got all these calls and things I have to look at, messages and stuff. Okay, so let me see. I believe I was tracking along. Yes, rights to vote. See, you have to be loyal to the Constitution of the United States. That's the meaning of having voter rights. So as voter rights are opened up for black people and opened up for women, so to speak, which is interesting. I get some history on that, and some people want to understand. It's implied. The basic understanding that it's conditional that you are loyal to the Constitution of the United States. You can't say, oh well, we're a socialist, we're communist, and we're world German Empire communist, and we do oligarch and hidden business, and we're mass murderers and all that stuff. No, you can't be that. That's a criminal. That's a RICO. Okay, under modern law, it's a RICO. You're subject to arrest. We fought 2 great wars over this. Say, voting rights is for those who want to join us, the stewards. Okay, to join us, the founders. Okay, to deal with our nation's business. Okay, it's not for bullshit. Okay, so we had a lot of people that keep cheating. They find ways to cheat. We got a lot of people keep trying to cheat and get around the original endorsed documents of what the deal has always been. I'm just trying to help people understand the confusion. Just because you end up getting some kind of ability to vote. That doesn't mean that you control founder rights. That doesn't mean you control primary rights. And this is something that was always in the agreement, in the base agreement. So we have the pre-agreements, massive documents, pre-agreements that the Constitution endorses. Okay, the Constitution is a compressed document, and it endorses and validates these other agreements and documents. And see, this is where we have people that are missing this all the time. So you have people that are trying to explain to us what's been decided and what is law, and we have to step up and tell them, no, you're an idiot. Look, we have documents, we have these other things. This is what's happening, and then you're trying to deal with these people, and then they get violent and they get sneaky and they come in and they start destroying archives, committing treason. This is not a game, people. Not our first rodeos. It's not a game. And then they don't want to do their job. And when you get into we other people, we don't want to fire, we don't want to prosecute people for treason. Well, look, it's mandatory. Okay, I'm not going to listen to your lies or your bullshit. I'm just going to put your head straight into an fMRI lie detector. Okay, we'll administer truth pharmaceuticals, and we'll just get to the truth. This is national security. Okay, for national security, we get to the truth. That's the way it works. And in treason court, no loopholes are allowed. No technicalities are allowed. Okay? Welcome to treason law. This is something some people don't understand. So when you're listening to Bozo the Clown, and every court within the boundary of California has once again been ordered by the United States Supreme Court to adhere to federal law, the Constitution, and full scope arguments. This means it's a big slapping of the hand. This means that we have almost an uncountable number of illegal court rulings because the United States Supreme Court has found that the mindset of the courts within the boundaries of California have been not operating properly. In other words, these parties have been committing treason. I could say it that way. So anyhow, I have messages I have to catch up on. Again, my name's Michael Crosby. I'm running for governor. And yeah, actually, I'm a billionaire. I'm an archiver. I run a nonprofit. And so we're going to separate the men from the boys. And there's a difference financially to what I'm going to do for your life as opposed to all these other candidates. So I love intelligent questions. So please bring forward your intelligent questions. Thank you.